A beautiful morning to you and welcome to the newspaper review right here at Prime Media TV. I'm Ayo and with me today I have quite a number of headlines to be reviewed with you today, part of which goes thus. FG moves to take 20 trillion naira from pension funds for investment in infrastructural development. Tinubu approved 90 billion naira to subsidize cost of 2024 Hajj, says Shetima. I will support death penalty for corruption. Kill anyone who steals 1 trillion naira and not 1 million naira, says Ali Ndume. Resignation galore as 5 Wike's loyalists quit Fubara's cabinet. And then to the last news to be reviewed with you today. Labor unions walk out of minimum wage negotiation and blast FG. These are the stories we are set to review with you today. But before we go into all that we have for you today, let's go on a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to into the show. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. So very quickly, let's see the first headline that we have for you today. FG moved to take 20 trillion from pension funds for investment in infrastructural development. Let's see the news in details. The federal government has announced plans to use 20 trillion naira from the country's pension to finance infrastructural projects across the federation. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, disclosed this to State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting held on May 13th and 14th at the Presidential Villa and preceded over by President Bola Tinubu. According to the minister, the government's move to invest pension and life insurance funds along with other domestic funds in housing, power, rail, roads, water transport, even technology, is also to improve Nigeria's economic growth, create jobs, and reduce poverty. So this is what Nigerians are left to clamor about. Over since the last 2 weeks, we have been dealing with stories, quite a number of stories that is pushing Nigerians to the limit. We've looked at cyber security levy, which is yet to be resolved. Then we look at the part where the minister of aviation mentioned that the Mr. President and his vice will have to be paying toll gate levy, whatever, and we consider the fact that is this what Nigerians want to hear? And once again, the federal government is making a move to take 20 trillion naira out of pension funds to fund infrastructural development. And with me to analyze this session is my co-host. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So very quickly, I would like to hear your thoughts on this story. What were the things that came in view? What were the things that came into your mind as soon as you saw this story?
Thank you very much. You see, when I saw this news, when I saw this story, the first thing that came to my mind is that these people are at it again. This business of taking from the people, they are at it again. Because when I saw this story, I had to go through make some findings. And I discovered that this act, this move, this initiative is not following the due process. All right. According to the Constitution, the law only supports the use of 5% from the pension fund, for infrastructural projects. 5%. Now, why are they bent on going into this? These are savings of Nigerians, people who will be Nigerians who has labored for years, and at their retirement they will be hoping on this for survival. Now the government, our leaders want to lay hold on that fund, all in the name of all they've analyzed, all the things they've mentioned, the intention is actually good, but this is not the only way. This is not the medium to fund all these things. You know, the way they want to go about 20 trillion for all this. You know, if they have these good plans, I'm sure it should be inclusive in the budget, 2024 budget, which certain amount of money has been dished out for. Why, why go about, or why go into people's savings? Is an initiative that will at the end bring disaster to the nation, because these are people life savings, and in their retirement already we hear cases of government telling the people story, pensions not being paid.
Mm.
So what do you think will now happen if this money is eventually being used for they've told us? It will be story galore.
Yeah, exactly. When we took a story earlier this week on the empowerment program that the Nigerian government asked for the youth corps. And part of the many things that we mentioned is that where are the federal government afraid of creating employment opportunities for these people instead of giving, I think, was it not 5 million naira each to
10
10
million.
million naira each to 5,000 youth members. And we're considering that, we had a rough estimate that day, and we looked at 500 million naira for all of these youths. That why not invest that money in creating employment opportunity, building infrastructure and all of that. But then I would like to come back to this story. The first thing that came to my mind is pension funds. This is money that people have worked for. This is 37 years of people's sweat.
Labor.
So it's 37 years, sorry, 35 years of labor, and you just want to dig your hands into it. And there's really no like you said, there's really no due process that is followed to all of these things. And another thing that came to mind is that if when the federal government knew that they want, because according to Wale Edu, he said part of the many things that will help our economy, that will enhance economic growth, is job creation that will further reduce poverty. So the thing that came to my mind is that since the last 1 year, have they not noticed the rate at which poverty is eating deep into
The
the
nation.
Nigeria, into the nation? Why haven't they considered all of that? And the next thing that came to mind again when I saw the story is that when they know that they want to create infrastructure for Nigerians, why did they venture in the coastal highway? There are so many roads, there are so many federal government projects that are yet to be completed in the country. We hear of that. There's one at Edo State that the people living in that place, they keep on lamenting. They've made their complaint to the state government. The state government are saying that it is the project that is to be handled by
By the
the
state.
by the federal government and all of that. They are yet to round up with that road. And we look at the coastal highway. That the coastal highway is not something that will end in the next 5 years. It is not something that they will wrap up with in the next 10 years. The coastal highway might be there even until after this administration. So the money that they used to start up that coastal highway, what stopped them from using that money
To
to
invest
you
in
know
this.
to invest in this infrastructure for Nigerians to benefit from? And another thing that came to my mind is that why tax the poor to do what you want to do in the country?
Aside from taxing the poor, aside from the thing is that the moment they got into office, you discover, you know, their pay, the House of Rep and all that, you see them increasing their pay. If they are really willing to curb or to serve the people better, I think it should begin with them.
Mm.
It should begin with them, feeling, should I say, reducing all these allowances, all these things you see most of them, they are eating more. You are just imagine you are a father, and your children are not eating well, and you are eating. You go out there, you look very good. Meanwhile, when your children are seen, they are not anything. And represent. They don't speak. They don't speak your personality. Your appearance does not define your personality. That is what is playing out in the country. They they go about on private jets, in all manner of luxurious life on the people. Now, they nothing affects their buying of bulletproof vans. Nothing affects their allocation, no matter the hunger in the country. They get their travel allowance, their sick allowance, their debt allowance, even when they are still alive, all nonsense form of allowance, and they still devise means to suck from the people. Actually, I see this in that it just, should I say, these things are planned things, because they said it from the beginning. They are going to take from the people. They keep on taking. So when they introduce this and the people kick against it, they look for another way. They are all in the business of taking from the people.
Well, we should also not forget the fact that this is supposed to be a welcoming development. They want to create employment opportunities, and this employment opportunity is going to further help the economy to grow. But then what we are looking at now is that the pause where they want to remove this money from, what
That is the
becomes of,
problem.
yeah, that's what we should as well look into. What becomes of these pensioners who are saved for 35 years? I try to read a lot of Nigerians' reactions, and Nigerians are not taking it funny. And to me, I think this um, um, decision that the federal government is about to take is going to further push our old to see from the perspective of the young people, while the young people are clamoring for a revolution. Why am I saying this? When the youth are saying, no, we are tired of this, life is becoming unbearable. Do you know that for an average man, for a single person who is yet to be married, for a single person to have good standard of living, you want to furnish your house at least to a little taste that should not be, you don't want to be extravagant. You want to just furnish it. You want to have a bed in your house, you want to have a TV, you want to have this. You will need close to 1 million to do this thing
Or more than 1 million.
in this present day economy. So now I'm seeing it from this perspective, that now it will now bring our older generation to see things from the perspective of the youth, that when we are clamoring for a revolution, when we are clamoring that we want a change, we don't want this government again, when we are fighting and keep lamenting on social media, even in the real life and all of that, the older ones are the ones that will say, you people should wait, bear the pain a little. There is need for you to do this. There is need for you to calm down and see the results that this man wants you to see. Now, it is now affecting them. There will be, because it was affecting the youths before, just the youths, and they were the ones advising us to calm down, a bit low. This man is way. These proverbs that people would say, that
what
an elder sees from
They
the
don't see
mountain
anything
top,
again.
the young one cannot see it, even if the young one
Not
climb
in this
a tree
digital
higher
age.
than all of that. So now they can now say that it's like what the elders are saying is like the elders' vision is becoming blurry. Now it is now affecting us. Let's wait for the reaction of the civil servant.
You see, one thing I want us to understand is that I said this in one of our programs, that the people we have in power today, they should I say, they don't send anybody, and regardless of all the agendas, all I've seen is a medium to take away, to suck, to tax the people. Honestly speaking, just like you rightly stated, what happened to, because there are so many problems in Nigeria and the problem cannot be fixed at once. What happened to this in using the fund meant, they want to invest in this Lagos to Calabar coastal way? Why not invest it on this? I believe the Nigerian youth will benefit more from this. All right, and at least it's something that can be achieved within this their first tenure. No, so but because now you cannot offer what you don't have, right? So why do you want to invest, a capital that is not yours? Because the money is not meant for them. All right. So it's just a way. What I see here is another trick, because at the end of the time, nobody will be able to boldly come out and say we are not being paid our pension, because it will be said the pension have been used or have been invested. Initially, people come out to cry that their pension are not being paid. Now, I tell you, it will be difficult for anybody to say anything, because they can now justify it by saying it was invested. It's a game.
All right. In the same vein, we would have thought that, or let's just come to a conclusion that the federal government really did not have a creative mindset. Because for a project as beautiful as this, there are other ways that you can actually get investment to fund these things, beyond taxing the poor. And it's bring us to say that this is taxation government. The federal government are trying to shy away of from the need to, look for or seek for foreign investors. And while talking about foreign investors, we should also look at what has become of the foreign investors that they have tried to seek for so far. Earlier in January, when Mr. President went to Qatar, and he said the Qataris are interested in investing in the Nigerian government, there was really no follow up on that story to see what exactly the Qatari government want to invest in Nigeria. Now, I think this is now the time for them to now follow up on that, on the people of Qatar. What exactly do you want to invest on? We have an infrastructure. What do you stand to benefit from? Then it still brings us back to a government that is not accountable to our citizens. But then I want us to link this conversation to the federal government, to Mr. Tinubu, our president, approved 90 billion naira to subsidize cost of 2024 Hajj, says Shetima. We are looking at it on the part of frivolous lifestyle, expensive lifestyles,
Wastage.
wastage from
You know,
from the part of our government. And you expect that the masses who are laboring, who are working for their money, are the ones to pay for this expensive lifestyle. So I would like to hear your take on the merging the stories together, on what the federal government is investing on and their demand to take from the poor to foot the way the economy is.
um, I will say this again. One of the former governor in Nigeria, person of Mr. Peter B, in some weeks ago, called on uh, some of these our leaders to cut wastage. You see, now this 90 billion, let's just say almost 100 billion, just to for a 6 days program is an outrageous waste. In the same northern part of Nigeria, we have about 10.5 million children out of school. Out of school. The same northern part of Nigeria will have cases of bad water. The government are not seeing these areas of life that many people will benefit from to invest into. Now they are investing 90 billion just for a 6 day event. Now, when I saw this story, I was like, what is the economic benefit of this event, this initiative, this money to the nation's economy? How is it going to how will Nigeria benefit from this investment? It's called that, just like you said, that this administration, should I say, they lack initiatives. They lack I don't know, ideas. They just go about investing money just for some people to enrich their pocket. I say it again, to enrich themselves. There are so many. When I was going through the reaction of the people, you see that, okay, now, do you know that if this amount of money is invested in the issue we are having in petroleum in Nigeria, it will go a long way? It will go a long way. Where petrol is almost going for 1,000 naira per liter in a country where we have crude oil as one of our resources, and they are not seeing anything about that. Rather, they choose to invest in things that bring no benefit to the people. They are just a government or an administration of wastage. That is what I can say.
Okay, it is so sad that a country like ours, we we don't know how to we don't know how to prioritize things of importance. We spend so much on frivolities. We spend so much on things that are not really important. And You then see Mr. President coming to be a motivational speaker to us, telling us to bear the pain for a while, waiting for to wait for the appointed time for the renewed hope to become ripe. But then this will be my final take on this story, that the economy economy is eating deep, and if care is not taken, the economy will collapse. And all of these things, they are pushing Nigerians to the limits. You know, I think it was Mr. Wale Edun that mentioned it, where he said that Nigerians are resilient. Nigerians are resilient. We are resilient people, but there's a limit to how resilient we can
Every
become.
elastic has its
All
limits.
of these things are accumulating to the fact that one day Nigerians will be pushed to the wall. And at the point when Nigeria will get pushed to the wall, it may become it will become so unbearable for them to undo all of these things, and they will not be able to listen to anyone, because really there's nobody to listen to.
Hmm.
If you go to every state in Nigeria, you see they have one issue or the other with their governors. They have one issue or the other with the local government, and even the head that is supposed to serve as the example is not exemplary enough. And Nigerians will have nobody at all that they could listen to. They would then begin to fight for what they wanted. And this is a message to everyone that we have gotten to that point in this country that no party is ready to save anybody.
Hmm.
No party is ready to save anybody, and it is the people's movement that will save them from the hardship that we are currently experiencing. But then let's move on to our next story. I will support death penalty for corruption, says Ali Ndume. Very quickly, let's look at the news in details. I will support death penalty for corruption. Kill anyone who steals 1 trillion naira and not 1 million naira. The chief whip of the Senate, Ali Ndume, has revealed that he would support the death penalty for those stealing government money, cautioning that those who steal 1 million or 1 billion should not be killed, but someone who steals 1 trillion of government money should be killed. Ndume also noted that corruption in Nigeria is people driven, admitting that politicians steal and share with the people. The chief whip stated this when he was featured on Channel's TV Politics today on Tuesday, when questions about the death penalty as the deterrent for those caught with drugs were being fielded. So there are two parts to the story. First is the fact that he said corruption is people driven. According to him, what he meant is that our politicians steal to feed the people,
Themselves.
to feed the people. According to him, that was what it meant, that they don't only steal to enrich themselves, that on the long run, everybody is a part of the corruption. They pay their drivers, they pay this, they pay that, this. That's the first part. And the second part, it was speaking sequel to the federal government's final take on drug traffickers, that anyone who has been caught in the act of drug trafficking will be killed immediately. There's no dragging it in the court and all of that. So sequel to that conversation, he was now speaking on the part of anyone who embezzles money in the country. According to him, anyone who steals 1 million or 1 billion should not be prosecuted. But anyone who steals a trillion and above, so it means that if you steal 999 billion, you should not be prosecuted for
Hmm.
that. But as soon as you get to the limit, or you get to a trillion naira, then you should be killed for it. So he is now politicizing corruption. So on these two parts of the story, I would like to get your own take on what he has said.
Hey, that you can see the kind of leaders we have in our country, Nigeria. The giant of Africa has been reduced to a place where corruption and stealing goes, on broad daylight. Now, when they made law that anybody caught in drugs should be killed, was there any form of okay, drug whatsoever amount? When you are caught with a drug whatsoever amount should be killed. Now, okay, now we just talked about the waste of 90 billion on on an event that will profit the people nothing. So and somebody is saying that if you steal in billions, you should be pardoned. Now, you know, there is this saying that when you are looking for a thing and who stole that thing is helping you to find it, you will never find that thing. You know, they are in this business together, and that is why I was not surprised when I heard that from him, because when he said he said the way I understand, or the way I understood his statement is that when they steal, they settle themselves. They settle themselves. That is why it is not considered it's not considered theft, because they for example, you are given a project and you embezzle the money for the project. You are accountable. On that project, you are accountable to somebody. So once you settle the person or the people who should question you for not carrying out that project, you are not seen as a thief. That is what I understood from what he meant. It's not a one person something. They know themselves. So when he's advocating, I think he knows. He just, why not say anybody that is found stealing the government fund should be killed? Let him put it that way, so that there will be a massive debt in the government office. So I believe if you want to state it outrightly, let him say anybody that steal any amount from the government, if you are found guilty of stealing, what is a million naira is small money. So why say somebody that steal million or somebody that steal billion should be, if it's not to me, it's not making sense. If they really want death penalty to be the case of corruption in Nigeria, they want to sanitize the government house, then let it be that any act of corruption is punishable by death. Then watch out and see what will happen. You see, there will be a drastic reduction in corruption in our government houses.
Well, I believe it is not in the place of Ali Ndume to do that. When I got this, it just came to me that, is this not the same Ali Ndume that was reacting to a whole lot of happenings in the country? Ali Ndume is just a senator. Any random person could have just made mention of such statement, but then it points us to a vital thing that we should all be looking at. First is the fact that no excuse is justifiable enough for any wrong action.
At all.
People like to justify why they are misbehaving. And according to him, he said this to say that when we steal money, himself inclusive, when we steal money, we are doing this for the people. When you give us this allowance, when you give us these allocations to this constituency to do this road, to build these schools, even after we have built these schools, sometimes some of these people will come and meet us, help me to pay my school fees, like the issue that they are currently having between the spokesperson in Niger State and the Minister of Women Affairs, where the people went to meet the spokesperson that our people, their parents are dead. We need them to get married. And in Niger State, I don't know if it is in all northern part of Nigeria that they do that. These people, these girls are at the age that they are supposed to be married. Come to our aid and marry these people off, because it is the ladies that will take care of every other responsibility in the house. The man's responsibility is to just get a house where they can stay. The woman furnish the building. Then these people came to meet the spokesperson and they said, help us to get these people married. And the spokesperson came to a conclusion that we are going to do a mass wedding for them. So part of the many things that Ali Ndume is saying is that all of these other people that come to you in the long run, during the course of your tenure, help us this, help us that. It is from this money that we embezzle that we came to it is from this money we embezzle that we help these people from, and all of that. But then
That is
it
totally
is
unacceptable.
no justifiable reason to conclude that you embezzle money for the people. And it also brings us to the part of the people. Most times we arrive at a conclusion on our politicians. What about the people that are involved? If we Nigerians can come, we are talking about Nigeria is that. Don't be surprised that in 2027 election, there will still be some persons that will collect a bag of rice, they will collect 10,000 naira, let's say 20,000 naira, 100,000 naira, just to sell their vote. So it still come back to the part of the people that regardless of how hungry you become, regardless of how bad situation become, when this corrupt politician come to give you this money, it is not expected of you to, because you are eating your now at the same time eating the future of your children. Sometimes that we show the video of some old women who are collecting spaghetti from some of these politicians. These are some of the money that they took from us to still give you a spaghetti that you only eat in less than 30 minutes. The food has digested and you move on to being hungry again. So that's the second part I want us to look at. And to the part that he mentioned, that anybody will steal 1 million naira and 1 billion naira, as long as it is not to a trillion naira, and so those people should not be killed. I'm trying to I'm trying to quote him. I'm trying to explain, some of the things that he didn't say. We are Nigerians. We want to see beyond what he has said. So I personally see that he is using this as a justification as well to what Yaya Bello has done.
Mm.
Yaya Bello embezzled 80 billion naira. And, it's indirectly telling us that you should not go after that man.
Because that amount is not,
that amount
huge
is
enough.
not huge enough. So justification for stealing, that anybody can cut away with any amount in the government sector and they can escape it as long as it is not up to this amount, because he knows that if he should bring it down to the point of 1 million naira, that every single one of them in the Senate House, it will be guilty.
Will be guilty.
Every single government officials will be guilty. Go to the civil sector, civil servant sector. Those people working with Mr. President, directly or indirectly, most of them will be guilty of this offense. So he's then giving a justifiable reason why it should be a trillion naira. After all, he and some of his people
What
have
about
not
those that does not
eaten
have
up
access
to
to that
money.
amount? Because there are some people that their office does not have access
Yeah.
to trillions.
Yeah.
So to me, I just feel that he just made nonsense of himself by making this utterance.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Because
made nonsense
he's
of
now
himself.
trending.
Honestly, because
He's trending.
he is, should I say, he's speaking the mind of the people. Because there are many. When when he was talking, he said, when we steal, himself
Yeah,
inclusive,
exactly.
he knows that they are in the business of looting. And I tell you see, what I will just tell you is that there is something that is still going to play out in 2027. Something happened last year during the election they never expected. Like, they never expected it, even though at the end they still had their will. But I will tell you that as things keep on, as irregularities keep on unfolding in Nigeria, Nigerians keep on grabbing, in new ideas.
Yeah.
And I tell you that regardless of what how prepared they are, they will still be shocked at it will get to a time where people will still collect the spaghetti and still vote for who they want to vote for. Because Nigeria, especially what is playing out now in the country, has made people to understand these people that they don't mean well for anybody. Once they get there, it's all about themselves.
Yeah.
So to him, I feel that it's just a wrong message. And because they lack vision, they will keep on coming out to make nonsense of themselves.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, because they, when the press approach them, because they don't have anything reasonable to say, and they must say something, they see themselves making so many mistakes, and at the end, I'm sure it is after their speech they discover they made mistakes. That is the case we are seeing in this matter.
Exactly. And to wrap up with that, I think it is high time that people should be people should be arrested for
Honestly.
making some careless statements. I mean, this is a careless, and it sounds careful to me because he included himself. He has already put himself in that trap, and I really wish people can as well be arrested
the
for
EFCC
making.
can go after him.
Because
Because he has confidentially said that he's into that he steals. Oh, God will help Nigeria government.
All right. So let's go on with the next story. I will just brush through the story on the resignation galore as 5 Wike loyalists quit Fubara's cabinet. This is as well one of the topic that has been really hot on in everybody's mouth about the River State government. But now I would like to hear your thoughts on the resignation of these Wike's loyalists from Fubara's cabinet. Do you think this people are afraid of being propped alongside the one whom they are loyalist to, or they are just doing this for very good and justifiable reason. I would like to hear your thoughts.
Thank you very much. You see, one thing I understand about River State government is that it's just like what is happening out in the federal level, where in the area of insecurity, like I said something the other day that the people, the invention of our leaders is now have now grown wings that they cannot control. That is why they are crying out. All right. I will tell you here that I'm sure that when the previous administration were making their choice of Fubara, I'm sure that they never expected what is playing out now. All right. And I'm sure these people that resigned are people personal, maybe they equally installed there, this man, old man of 18. Because you won't tell me that somebody bought the ticket, contested, and the people voted, and just in terms of, and you are resigning, So you just imagine the tag, Nwike's loyalists. They are not even there to serve the people. But just because if they are there, if their primary purpose is there to serve the people, I don't see any reason why they are resigning.
Yeah.
All right. So the problem, I think there is fear here. Since this man is no longer in good time with our boss, who knows what becomes of us? So instead of, and to me, I feel if the governor of River State really want to do his job, and I'm sure he's going to, if he have any reason to go after these people, even after their resignation, the law still permits him to do that.
Yeah.
So even them running away does not, is, as a matter of fact, is he just created that they just created attention to themselves. If you don't have skeleton cockroach in your cupboard, why running? You're already in office. Why not serve to your first the first 4 years, and so why running? This action, I tell you, is questionable. It's questionable, and I believe he's going to issue. He should go about it the right way.
All right. This set of ministers who resigned now are still a part of the ministers who resigned earlier
Earlier
in
last year,
December.
yeah, December.
When the issue of the River States, when they were having issues in courts back to back and all of that, they resigned earlier, and I see no reason why they had to come back. Probably because they see that things are going on well. But then I feel like their resignation is going to give Governor Siminalayi Fubara is going to give him an opportunity to form his own cabinet. I feel like those people are like whistleblowers in
Sabotage.
his, they are like whistleblowers in his own administration. They may not be working in alignment with him because their loyalty is pledged to the previous administration. So if Fubara wants to do well, he should just get in people that will take up those positions immediately, so they can know that whether or not they
People
are
who are
there,
loyal to him.
whether or not they are there, the administration is going to run. And at the same time, like you said, this is a questionable act on the part of
Set of people.
this set of people who have just resigned. Probably, maybe they are resigning to save themselves from the embarrassment of being probed in the long run. Or probably they resign so they can have more time to plan with the one whom they are loyal to see how they can go about things and all of that. But then let's quickly take our last story, and hopefully a story unfolds on the Fubara case. We'll keep taking them because this River State film is not
It's a
something
film.
that we
A
can,
seasonal film.
yeah, it is not something that we can watch at once and all of that. So on labor union, on minimum wage, labor union walks out of minimum wage negotiation and blast FG. Very quickly, let's look at the story. The union said the 48,000 proposal from the federal government is ridiculous. The labor union, comprising the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress, have walked out of the ongoing minimum wage negotiation with the government and the organized private sector. Angered by the 48,000 proposal by the federal government as the national minimum wage, the labor unions described the offer as ridiculous. The NLC president, Joe Ajaero, explained that the government is not serious about negotiating with the labor on the new minimum wage. He explained that the FG does not have the necessary data to negotiate with labor. I personally feel like it is high time labor should stop discussing with the federal government. But I would like to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, when we were taking this story earlier, I said something here that the amount the labor were proposing, we all know that the government is not going to, federal government is not going to grant that. But I tell you that, just like they say, it's an embarrassment that the amount they are even proposing to is to, is not even anything close to what the people are requesting. It's just very outrageous that when it happen to, when it has to deal with the people's welfare, you know it is very hard for them to act. But when it is for them to, bring initiative that will end up enriching them, something they cannot openly account for, you see allocation of billions, trillions in their hundreds. It's quite unfortunate that this is playing out in a government that promised a renewed hope, in a government that condemned the action, the activities of the previous administration, and promised to do better than the previous administration were doing. And what we see playing out in everything that has to do with them is, pain, anguish. How can you be proposing a 48,000 naira in an economy that is so dead that even a bag of rice cannot be bought by that amount? How do you want the people to cope? And their children will go to school. Housing is there, transportation is there, and every other bills that must be paid. How do you want the people to pay, to cope, to survive? It's very, very painful. And I just like you said that it's a high time that, labor shouldn't just be wasting their time engaging in a meeting with these people, because they are not really willing to do anything positive towards bringing people out of poverty.
Yeah, exactly. So, what the labor should be fighting for now is on how inflation can come down,
Honestly,
because the economy is collapsing,
it has
and if
collapsed.
care is not taken, if it gets beyond this, then Nigerians are going to do the unexpected. And before it gets into that, the Nigerian people have always said we are resilient people. We are strong. We know how to get and adjust to things. But with the way things are ongoing, Nigerians may never be able to adjust to this. And we hope
How
that
can
the
you
fight for
adjust to not
NLC
eat,
now,
not being able to eat?
should be on sensitizing the people that these people are not ready for us. What do we do to get our what we deserve by force?
Now, I think again, what the NLC should be concerned about, I think they should forget the request for 615,000, because it's not realistic. This administration is not going to pay. Their concern should be just like you have stated, to ensure to how to tackle inflation, how to ensure that the cost of things come back to a bare minimum. That should be the fight, and not for themselves, because I think if you are talking, everybody is not everybody is a government worker. So the fight should be for the general masses, both the market women and every Nigerian. How do we return things even to where it was before, that people were even complaining? We now see that then it was even better than now. I think that should be the fight.
All right. So this is all that we can take on the segment for newspaper review today. Before we leave the studio, we like that you follow us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook, you can follow us at Prime Media TV. On Instagram and TikTok, follow us at Prime Media Studios. And you can, as where the website where you're currently watching us is enginespeak.com. Do well to drop in your comment even as you watch through. Lastly, you can follow us on YouTube at Engine Speak. Before we leave the studio, I am Ayo. Until I come your way again, do have a great day.